Hello students, this is Mrs. Marjorie Allen. I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on how to navigate around Blackboard and Lippincott. First we're going to start with Blackboard. I've just clicked on the NUR 111 class and we're going to look over here on the left hand side, see the different tabs, and we're going to go through some of these tabs. First you see the announcement tab. When you come to the announcement tab, your announcements are going to appear here at the bottom. Your most recent announcements are going to appear at the top. You need to check these announcements very frequently, if daily, if not more than once a day. Typically, they should appear also in an email, but sometimes when we make the announcement, if we forget to click that box that says send it in an email also, you might not get it as an email. So check your Blackboard and check your announcements frequently. Then we're going to go over here to course information. When you see course information, you'll see my instructors. It's going to show all the different instructors here, and it has our email right here. That's how you are most likely going to be able to contact us. We're very rarely in our offices, and if we are, we're not in there enough usually to answer our phone. So if you want to contact us, probably the best way is to use our emails, and most of us will get back with you within 24 to 48 hours usually. Let's go back. Under that course information, you'll also see the syllabus and the general policies. We went over that on your first day, but I wanted to show you under this general policies here, down here at the bottom, is the inclement weather policy. If by chance we have snow or a hurricane or something like that, you will need to find this inclement weather policy. Let's go back up here to policies and action plans. This is where you'll find your college handbook, your nursing handbook, the clinical guidelines, the Kaplan policy, and the action plan. We'll go over the action plan more in class, but this is where you will find it. If you have a grade that's less than 78, you will need to remediate with an instructor and start an action plan. This action plan is student driven. So you will click on the action plan, follow these instructions, and schedule a meeting with your instructor. So let's go over here to classroom and weekly lessons. So we've already been through week 1 already, but you will click on whatever week we're working on. Let's just say we're in week 4, and you will click on the module, the concept. You'll see that there's a module and a PowerPoint. Let's look at the sensory one. The sensory one has a module, a PowerPoint, but it also has something else that you need to do before you come to class. So sometimes you will have more things that have to be done. Sometimes they'll call it a ticket to class. Things that have to be done before you come to class. So make sure you're checking that out before you come to class. Let's go to the clinical tab. So you've already seen the clinical grids, the core orientation, the clinical paperwork. We went over that in detail on Clinical on Campus. So you'll know where to print all of those out if you need more copies. One thing I wanted to show you under the clinical tab is this JCC lab values. You will need to print that and memorize it. Your NANDA diagnoses, this is also something that you will need to print and take with you to clinical, because this is going to help you with your care plans. So that is very beneficial for you. Let's go up here to the lab tab. So lab has a different day by day. Make sure you're printing that. And lab is different than class. So let's just look at one of the weeks in lab. Let's click on this week 1 lab here. Lab's modules are different. So if you click on the lab module, you'll see down here, it actually tells you on the module what you need to read. It tells you on the module if there's any quizzes that will happen. It tells you if there's any videos that you need to watch, if there's any skills that you'll need to perform and bring to lab with you, if there's any activities. So the lab modules are different than the class modules. The lab modules will have listed on the actual module what you need to read. Class modules, what you need to read is in a different place, but the lab modules have it on there, what you need to read and if there's anything else you need to watch. So that's very important to know that. Right now we're going to skip the Lippincott and Kaplan. We'll come back to that. Let's go to the Collaboration tab. Collaboration is where you're going to find your discussion board and Blackboard Collaborate. On discussion board, this is where I'm going to switch to the student view here so you'll see what actually you're going to see. Go back to Collaborate. On discussion board, right now there's only 2 discussion boards that are posted, the class representative discussion board and the test 1 discussion board. Let's say you had a question over about one of the topics that we've already been through that's going to be on test 1. So how do you add the question here? You're going to create a thread. Let's say you had a question on the safety topic. So you could say safety question. Down here you'll type your question. You can click right here that you want to post it as anonymous if you don't want your name to be shown, or if you don't mind if your name is shown, you don't have to post that. But if you want it to be anonymous, you can click that. And then you just hit the submit button right here. And that's all you do to post a question. And that will show up in the discussion board. And it will show up right here that there's been a post. And then what we will do as instructors, we will periodically check the discussion board to see if there's any questions posted. We will answer it, and then everybody will be able to read the answer to your question. For the class representatives, we want you to go and say why you're interested in being a class rep, and you would enter your thread the same way. For Blackboard Collaborate, if you are absent for a COVID-related issue only, you are not able to enter Blackboard Collaborate just because you're absent. If grandma had a funeral, or if your child was sick, or for whatever reason that you missed class, this is only for COVID-related issues that we have to report to the COVID team at JCC. Only COVID-related issues are allowed to enter the Blackboard Collaborate. If that is the reason you're absent, we will create a link. You will be able to join the session. And then when you join the session, then you will be able to see the PowerPoint that's being shared through the class. And in the chat box in Collaborate, let us know whether or not you can hear and see what is going on in the classroom. So let's go over here to the next tab, which will be My Grades. This is where you will be able to access your grades. And like I said before, if your grade is less than 78, then you will need to contact an instructor, remediate, and start an action plan. Most of the time, your grades will be posted the day of the exam. You will see a grade at the end of your test, except for a final. But as you're taking the computerized test, you will see a grade, but that is not your final grade. The final grade is not posted until after all the instructors have gone over the test together. You will be able to access your JCC email over here. And then let's jump on down here to the JCANS tab. This is giving you information on how to join JCANS. And if you scroll down here, you will see that this is our first meeting is already scheduled, and this is the link to join that JCANS meeting if you're interested. So this is where the links will be under the JCANS tab. Whenever we have a meeting, we will put the Zoom link under the JCANS tab. So there's information on JCANS right there. So that's kind of what we're going to be going over in Blackboard. So let's scroll back up here to Lippincott. So when you click on Lippincott, you got your Lippincott resources. So that's going to take you to the Lippincott page. Mine will look slightly different than yours because I am an instructor, but I'm going to switch over to the student view as soon as I can get in. But you'll go to the Lippincott tab, your Lippincott resources, click return user if it asks you if you're a return user. We're going to click, so I'm going to enter, I'm going to enter as a faculty and then I'll switch over. We're going to go under my content and then scroll down here and we're going to go to concept view. You should see the Johnston Community College right here. Otherwise, Lippincott doesn't know what college, what NUR 111 class you belong to. So you should see the Johnston Community College right here. You're going to click on your class, which would be the NUR 111 right here. And once you get in here, now I'm going to switch over to the student view so it looks like what you see. So now you're in your 111 class. These are all the concepts that are covered in NUR 111. There might not be in the order that they're going to appear as we teach them in class, but they might not come in the order that they're on the day by day, but you're going to use your classroom day by day to see what concept is going to be covered that week in class. So let's just say like the first week we went over professional behaviors. So you'll click on that concept. It gives you a definition of what professional behaviors is. And this is where it's really important, your instructor's note right here. This instructor's note tells you what book and what page numbers you have to read for that week. It also tells you if there's any additional things you have to read, whether it's a journal, whether it's a website, or something else that your instructor is requiring you to read for that week. But this instructor note is very important for each week. So for like this week, not only did you have to read these pages, but these additional resources, your journal articles, these are required readings. Anything that is a required reading is testable material. Sometimes they may say that there's additional resources that are just FYI, just if you want to read them, they're great information, but they're not required readings. But if they are up here listed in this instructor note, they're required readings and they are testable material. So then you're going to come down here to your ebook. And then you'll be able to click on the link and it will take you directly to that spot in the ebook. If you notice right here, these pages 4 through 17 are a little bit different than these pages up here in the instructor note. These are the pages your instructor wants you to read. So if there is a difference, the ones that are listed in your instructor note are the pages that they want you to read. And like I said, any additional resources that she has listed up here, your journal articles, this is where you would find them. Like this is one of the articles. So this article here, since it is listed as additional readings, it is required reading. This article is testable material. So it would be something that would be very important for you to read. A couple more things I wanted to show you about the concepts. Let's look at perfusion. Perfusion gives you the definition like usual, and the instructor's note tells you what book, what pages, gives you some specific tables and guidelines. It also tells you that there's some Kaplan material that you can cover. It tells you there's some Lippincott Prep U animation that the instructor wants you to look at. So there's some Picmonics that may be helpful. If you learn that way, there's some Picmonics that might be helpful for you. You can look at, since it's set up here that these animations were part of your required things that you need to look at, I would definitely come down here to this Concepts and Action Animation, and I would click on this, and I would definitely watch these animations because it was part of the required information for you to read or to watch. So I would definitely look at these animations because it was part of the required stuff. And one more thing I wanted to show you in the concepts. Let's look at health policy. Where did I see that? There it is, health policy. This one's just a little bit different too. So you have the definition in your instructor note. This one does not have any pages in a textbook for you to read. So this one is telling you that there are websites that it wants you to go to. And these websites are listed here under the additional resources, each website. And it gives you specific instructions about what they want you to do on each of these websites. So pay attention when you click on your instructor notes to find out what it is you're to read or to watch and what is required for that week. So that's kind of important for you to do. So let me show you a few features about your ebook. Let's say we choose safety here. So let's just go to the ebook. Let's say we choose these pages right here. So when this particular page comes up, I don't really want to look at the table of contents, so I'm just going to do this and it's going to disappear. Then I'm going to do this, and this little margin over here is going to open up. I'm going to click on these little, not that, I'm going to click on this little page with the star, and this is going to open up where I can take notes on the side. Let's say I'm going through this and I find some information that I think is going to be really important that I want to highlight and take specific notes on. Let's say I want to say this elder abuse is going to be really important for me. So I want to highlight it. Let's say I want to highlight this particular sentence. So I want to do that. So I'm going to highlight it. And now it is going to show up over here in this information that I've just highlighted. All these things that I've highlighted are now going to show up over here. This elder abuse I've highlighted is going to show up over here. And let's say I highlighted this, but I can't remember where I highlighted it. If I click on it, it's going to take me directly to where I highlighted it. If I click on this, it's going to take me directly to where I highlighted it. So if there's certain things that you are reading and you're like, I think I really need to remember that, I want to highlight it, it will give you notes over here. There's also a way that you can create a flashcard. Let's say I want to make a flashcard about this standards right here. So you can create a flashcard. When you first start making flashcards, it's going to ask you to name the batch. And I named it safety flashcards just because this was under the safety concept. What I just highlighted is going to appear, all of that is going to appear on one side of the page. On the back of the page, on the back of that flashcard, let's say I just want to say standards. And I'm going to save it. And so now if I hit study, I've created two flashcards. This is what I highlighted on one side. If I click this little backward arrow right here, it has standards on the other side. This is something else I highlighted. If I click this backward arrow, it has profession. If I don't know it, I'll click this. If I know it, I'll click this, and it will create two different piles for me. And I can study by my flashcards. I can repeat them over here with this little circle, or I can shuffle the cards. So there's ways that you can study by flashcards like that. Let's get rid of that. Also, if you click right up here on these three little dots, it gives you more options. Let's look at the read aloud option. If I click Read Aloud, it's going to start reading aloud. You can pick how fast you want them to read, how slow you want them to read, and you can click the different voice. So if I click Read Aloud,
Chapter 1.
It's going to start reading
Introduction
aloud
to
from the very
Nursing.
beginning.
Roberto Picorini. Roberto is a 38.
Click this settings button right here, and you can, if you want them to read a little bit faster, turn that up here. If I don't like the robotic voice, I can change it to that, and then
38-year-old man diagnosed with metastatic colon cancer, having undergone radiation treatments and chemotherapy.
You can pick how fast you want them to read, how slow you want them to read, and there's 3 voices to choose from. Unless you have a Mac computer, I think there's lots of different voices you can choose from. But that is just the read aloud option. So let's go back up here to My Content. Let's go to Product View. This shows you all the different products that you have. Let's scroll down here to the Fundamentals book, your Taylor book. If you have not yet downloaded your book, there will be an option right underneath course content that'll say download the book. You should go ahead and download all of your books, and they will show up on your bookshelf. But you need to make sure that you've downloaded all of those books so they don't disappear for you at the end of the program. So make sure you go ahead and downloaded your book. Let's go back up here to Concept View. And we're going to go to Prep You. There's 2 different ways you can go to Prep You. You can click on Prep You here, or if you go into your class, you can click on Prep You here. So there's 2 different places that you can click on Prep You. I'm going to switch back to the student view. So once you click on, let's click on Prep You. So now that you're in Prep U, you want to pick the correct semester that you're in and the correct class that you're in. You won't see all of these other classes because you're not in them. But let's say you're going to go to NUR 111 Fall 2021 because that's the class that you're in. The more quizzes that you take, the more quizzes that you do, your mastery level will slowly begin to increase. And you will see your strengths and weaknesses appear over here on the right side. You can view your quiz history. You can see which quizzes you've taken, when you took them, how many you got right, and how many you got wrong. This is something that you can see as a student, and it's something that the instructors can see also. And we will be looking. So let's go back up here and let's say I want to make a practice quiz. So, how do I make a practice quiz? Well, you want to do the adaptive learning quiz. So let's scroll down here. You want to go to Nursing Topics right here, open it up. To make the selection more narrow, which is what we recommend for you in the beginning of the program because you don't have a broad knowledge yet. So in the beginning of the program, we really recommend that you use concept exemplars. That makes the topics more narrow. If you want to use a broader selection, you can use nursing concepts. It makes the topics a little broader. So let's say nursing, the concept exemplars. And then we recommend the number of questions. You can do 5, 10, or 20, but we recommend 5. And Lippincott recommends 5. The more quizzes you do, using 5 at a time, that will help build your mastery level. Then you start your quiz. At the end of your quiz, it'll tell you which ones you got right, which ones you've got wrong. So let's just take a quick little quiz. Oops, I forgot to click what exemplar. Your concept exemplars. So let's open up the exemplars here. Let's just take one on pneumonia. We've got 5 questions, and we're going to start the quiz. It's personalizing our quiz, and then it's going to start it for us. So I'm not even going to read the questions. I am just going to submit the answer. I have no idea if any of these are right because I'm just picking questions here. It's going to analyze it and tell me which ones I got wrong and which ones I got right. So this is telling me that I got 0 out of 5 questions right. Not surprising because I didn't even read the questions. So it's telling me that I've taken 1 quiz on pneumonia. My mastery level at this point is still a 1. The class average is a 1. Then it gives me the question. It tells me what I chose, what the correct answer is, and then you click on this little caret here, open it up, and it gives you the explanation or the rationale for the correct answer. But not only that, you can click on this little page of paper here, and it takes you directly to the spot in the book that talks about that answer and why that answer is correct. So that is how you take a PrepU quiz. So let's go back up here to the top. Let's go back to my content and concept view. Again, you can see PrepU, you can see Lippincott Advisor, and this is where we're going to go now. We're going to go to Lippincott Advisor. I'm going to talk about this one just for a minute. Lippincott Advisor, you're going to use this a lot in clinical. The diseases and conditions, you can click on that. That will help you in clinical. You'll be able to learn things if you're filling out your pathophysiology sheet or your care plan and you're trying to learn about a diagnosis that we haven't learned in class yet, but you need to learn about it for clinical. You can look it up in here and it will help describe that for you. Let's say that you are looking about the signs and symptoms, the same thing. Looking up your diagnostic test. Let's say you're trying to fill out your lab sheet and you do not know why they perform a platelet test. You can come down here to platelets. It'll tell you why specifically they do platelets. And then you keep scrolling down, it'll tell you why platelets can be high and why platelets can be low. So this is a good place to look up information on the lab test that you need to be finding out information on. Your treatments will be the same way. There's a treatment done for your disease process and you're not sure exactly why they do that treatment or understanding what that treatment is. You can look it up here. Your drugs. This is where you can look up your medications. Let's say we're looking up acetaminophen. Look up the different forms, how it comes, your safe doses, how you administer it, any adverse reactions, contraindications, your nursing considerations for sure, what you would teach your patient. So you would use this in clinical when you're looking up your medications. So that is Lippincott Advisor. So let's go and we're going to look at content product view. And let's go down here, let's say back to the fundamentals book. I'm going to click on your fundamentals book. And now that you're in your book, you won't see this because you're not an instructor, but you should see these 3 things at the top. You should see your vital source bookshelf, your Lippincott Advisor, which is another way to access that, and Stedman's Online. So let's look at the vital source bookshelf. This is where you will see the books that you have downloaded. So all the books that you have downloaded will show up down here at the bottom. And you can pick which book that you are dealing with there. We've already looked at Lippincott Advisor, so let's look at Stedman's Online. This is very helpful. This is where you can look up more information on particular disease processes or procedures or things like that. Let's say we want to look up cholecystectomy. One, because you're not sure how to say it, and you don't want to look silly trying to pronounce it, so you can ask how to say it. It'll pronounce it for you. It'll tell you what it is. It will give you illustrations on it. So there's lots of different things that you can do with this Stedman's Online. So those are just some quick things to look at, your different caveats that you have available to you through Lippincott. And we just wanted to make sure that you knew how to navigate around there. If you have any questions, you can ask any of your instructors or your clinical instructors. And if you need any help, you can contact me, Mrs. Marjorie Allen. Thank you.